Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. It's the morning after the night before. You guys might be watching this on Monday afternoon. The exciting thing is we've got Chelsea again on Wednesday night. We travel to the south coast, St Mary, Southampton away. I remember there was a phenomenal away day match vlog where we beat Southampton. I recommend you going and watching that if you're just like me and after a Chelsea win, particularly on a Sunday, it gives us a buzz on a Monday morning. And I'm going to explain to you today and actually show you. We're going to try a different style of video here. So please hit the like button if you enjoy this. Subscribe if you want more of it. I'm going to show you today exactly how Chelsea dominated Aston Villa. Unai Emery, our manager, Enzo Maresca, that was a tongue twister. Maresca spoke very highly about Unai Emery before this game. Recency bias would suggest that the 3-0 scoreline that Chelsea had was exactly what was expected. Aston Villa winless in 7. That's a bad run of form for a team that are in the Champions League. But also, when you don't have the squad depth that, say, a Chelsea have, where we can make 11 changes to a team that plays on a Thursday, and then again at the weekend, Aston Villa do not have that luxury. But without any further ado, I want to show you the average positions of where Chelsea players touch the ball, because this gives you a massive indication as to how we absolutely dominated and controlled this game. So I want to try something a little bit different today in this video to showcase to you how Enzo Maresca enabled Chelsea to completely dominate Unai Emery's side yesterday. First of all, we're going to take a look at the total touches of the ball, and these are both Chelsea on the left, Aston Villa on the right. These are the heat maps of the entire game. Chelsea with 263 more touches of the ball than Aston Villa that you would expect from a team that had dominated possession. But what I think is really interesting, you can see here, Aston Villa, the majority of their touches are coming in their own box. And in Chelsea's half, there is literally here almost zero sniff for Aston Villa to get the ball forward. If we just select, for example, Ollie Watkins here. Ollie Watkins, completely non-existent in this game. Morgan Rogers, at times I was like, is this guy even on the pitch? 23 touches of the ball. Now for Chelsea, you can see here we've got central dominance of the pitch. We're touching the ball predominantly in those areas. But I think the interesting one to look at is Moises Caicedo. Because Caicedo was playing as a right back, but as you can see, the majority of his touches of the ball are happening exactly where you would want Caicedo to be on the ball as a forward-thinking, progressive defensive midfielder. The way that Chelsea set up yesterday enabled us to do this. If we look here, for example, at Marc Cucurella, not necessarily as wide as it quite often looked on the pitch, but if we look at Jadon Sancho was the man holding the width on the left side, and the same was also said for Pedro Neto, who wasn't as influential, but when he did get on the ball, he looked to cross the ball into the box. He looked to get the ball into dangerous positions. So overall, the way that Chelsea controlled this game was by packing out the middle of the park. The reason I made that video earlier last week discussing the potential of this formation was with Aston Villa in mind. Aston Villa, we know, are a side that quite often like to play through the middle, and Chelsea completely nullified that. We also take a look here at Lavia, and even slightly more advanced than Moises Caicedo, and then Enzo Fernandez predominantly holding that left side. So you've got Enzo Fernandez operating on that left with Sancho and Cucurella. If you look at all three of them here, they've absolutely got that left side covered. And then on the right side, if we add Caicedo, Neto, and Palmer, look at the dominance that those three have for Chelsea there. What Chelsea were unable to do, or enabled to do as a result of Maresca's changes, was offer both the left and the right as an attacking outlet. It wasn't necessarily about, well, Neto's more dangerous at running, so we'll give the ball to him. Madueke was obviously dropped, and usually we see Noni over on this right-hand side area here. But Chelsea were playing the ball over on the left, down on the right, and also through the middle. And this was due to the shape of the team and the setup that Maresca put us out there with Moises Caicedo playing as a right back. I also want to take a little look now at this stat here when it comes to the loss of possession. If we unclick the Chelsea ones, as you can see, Aston Villa giving the ball away everywhere. As for Chelsea, In 90 minutes of football yesterday, we gave the ball away only twice inside our own half. And that was Enzo Fernandez making an unsuccessful standing touch, and then Moises Caicedo making an unsuccessful standing touch. This, for me, is once again epitomising how good Chelsea were yesterday when it comes to the control. Interceptions as well. We didn't really have to intercept much because we were playing so dominantly in Aston Villa's half, but this one was a Caicedo interception that you guys remember. He wins the tackle, second ball, he's kind of just there like, no, you're not going to bypass the press here. You're not going to bypass me. Chelsea managed yesterday in so many different areas of the field to control absolutely everything. We weren't giving the ball away. And what I find really interesting is that there was always an out ball. And I think this isn't necessarily just Aston Villa might like to play through the middle. Chelsea wanted to pack out the middle. I think this is purely a case of Maresca looking at what the qualities that we have in this side is, bringing it back to those average positions here. I'll show you guys once again of Moises Caicedo. When Caicedo is able to so confidently play this role as a right back, not give away any opportunities because Chelsea aren't allowing anything from Aston Villa. When Caicedo can lock down this exact position here so confidently with Romeo Lavia in that central area, and then Enzo Fernandez, it looks as though he wasn't on it as often, but it's because his heat map is a bit more spread out. The way that Chelsea controlled this game by dominating the middle of the park was very, very impressive. You add on to that all of the brilliance that we have so often seen from Pedro Neto, his ability to burst past a player. I think Jadon Sancho is another one that we should talk about a little bit yesterday because he was absolutely everywhere as well. If we look at Jadon Sancho's heat map, predominantly over on that left wing, 41 touches of the ball, very similar to that of Pedro Neto, 42. But Chelsea were able to control it through the middle of the park, which meant that we weren't always looking for the wingers. I think what was interesting about Maresca taking Noni Madueke out of the team yesterday is that we quite often try to get Noni on the ball in that right wing position. Noni quite often is very much hugging that right touchline and looking to beat his man. And the way that Chelsea created yesterday was overloading those wide areas. You had the overlaps of Marc Cucurella. You also saw him underlapping at times as well. But with the solidity that you get in that midfield where Enzo Fernandez is being asked to do a lot, hence why he gets those 73 touches of the ball, but he's doing it not just in defensive areas. He's still able to help Chelsea clear up if Lavia isn't able to do it, if Caicedo isn't stepping in to do it, or Fofana and Colwill, who both had really good games yesterday. When these guys are stepping up into the middle and making sure that Aston Villa cannot get forward, this is where Chelsea looked at our strongest yesterday. And it's because we had those dominant players in the middle. And what Maresca's enabled us to be able to do here is utilise the strong points of both Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo and Lavia and make sure that those players are predominantly holding the positions where they operate at their most effective. Enzo being a bit more creative, getting forward, arriving in the box and scoring yet another goal. 2 goals in 2 games. And I think it is absolutely credit to Maresca. The way that we've seen players dip out of the team, like it was Lavia and Caicedo, it looked solid. It needed to be solid. We were playing against the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal. That's why you saw those two in a partnership. Now that Chelsea are going to be getting a bit more of the ball, he absolutely knows that Enzo Fernandez can't just come in and necessarily replace a Lavia, certainly can't replace a Caicedo, but if you've got them both in there, you've got to adapt. You've got to be versatile, hence why we've seen Caicedo being tried as a right back. I also want to address the fact that Caicedo yesterday as a right back, this might not be what we see every game, and I'm happy about this because I don't think it's necessary every time, to be fair. And I'd say that against Southampton on Wednesday, we're probably more likely to see Gusto come back in at right back, Caicedo and Enzo playing that pivot together, or maybe this is what we see continuously now for Chelsea, and we can make changes to rest legs going forward to give more of those attackers minutes. Joao Felix, Maresca said it in the press conference himself, Cole Palmer and Joao Felix are what make people buy football tickets. I absolutely think as much as this was an experiment that we've kind of been looking for. We said it in the video last week. I want to see Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo all on the pitch at the same time. I think the next thing that Maresca's going to try is how does he get Joao Felix and Cole Palmer on the pitch in the final third together as well. I'm going to bring it back here to the chalkboard, and we're going to take a little look now at the shots that Chelsea got off yesterday, because if we get rid of Aston Villa's shots, Chelsea, 17 shots on goal yesterday. We can see the variance here. We're getting shots away in the box. That one there is the Cole Palmer goal, which was just absolutely outrageous. And I think that's what this system enables Chelsea to do. If Cole Palmer isn't having his most electrifying game, if he's not necessarily on the ball as often as Chelsea would want him to be, because he's the best player, he's the most creative, and he can make things like this scene here happen. Just stunning goals where he sees like this little micro window of space and bends the ball directly into the top corner. And I think also positionally, the fact that Noni Madueke came on was a brilliant genius substitution at the right time. Aston Villa knew that Noni was going to want to be spending most of his time. If we bring his heat map up again, it probably won't show too much. But as you can see, there is a blue light there. Noni 11 touches of the ball, but most of them out on that wing, which enables Palmer to ghost into the middle and make that shot, which is just an absolutely perfect drive to seal what was really a perfect football day for Chelsea. So to have the final conversation here in this video about how Chelsea can even further adapt this tactical tweak that we saw from Maresca, is it just because Caicedo is such a great footballer that he can play as a right back and occupy the central midfield position for the majority of the game? Yes, of course, this is how Maresca wants to play. We saw it at Leicester. Ricardo Pereira was the right back that was always bombing forward, centrally, overlapping. He was doing everything for Leicester last year. And what we've seen here with Caicedo is probably the closest to like a dominant Maresca team that we've seen so far this season. I said it at the beginning of the video. I think this is the most controlled Chelsea win that we've seen. It was also a clean sheet. Credit to Robert Sanchez yesterday too. He made some great saves. And his distribution was also fantastic. So I think moving forward, I want to suggest something here. This isn't the preview for Southampton. That video will come out either tomorrow or on the day of the game. But do you guys think that we can see Malo Gusto come in to this team against Southampton, Caicedo play where Lavia was, and then could there be a world where Caicedo and Enzo is a bit deeper, but in terms of replacing Lavia, could that be Joao Felix? Are Chelsea confident enough with the defensive ability of Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo to allow us to take Lavia off for a game where we should absolutely dominate? I know that Southampton aren't always the easiest team to beat, even though they're bottom of the table. They've become a lot more harder to break down in recent games. They've got a good draw on Friday night away at Brighton. But do you guys think, looking at the way that this system worked, is it purely because Caicedo can just do that right-back role so confidently and so well? Or was this just a one-off game against an Aston Villa team that looked like they're in the mud at this time? My question to you guys in the comments is, can Chelsea afford to remove Romeo Lavia and put on another attacking player? Can Enzo Fernandez do that defensive work that we saw Lavia do and still potentially get forward if Gusto inverts and Caicedo just holds back a little bit more? Do we have this defensive stability there to allow Joao Felix to be on the pitch against teams where Chelsea should be looking to dominate? Southampton, they're not as good as Aston Villa, even though Aston Villa are in bad form. Yes, Southampton have not been as easy to beat recently. They played very well. They got a decent draw away at Brighton on Friday night. But that is my question as to how Maresca can continue to adapt this side. Yesterday, I think we could have scored a lot more. Emi Martinez made some great saves. We had the indirect free kick incident early on in the first half, which I don't remember the last time I saw that. But I still look at this Chelsea display, and as much as it wasn't perfect, it was the best performance from, in my opinion, all season long. But I still think Maresca's been saying it himself. He wants to see Felix and Palmer playing together. That's what people pay their money for. Can we experiment with what we've already experimented with here to take it another step further to bring Felix, or maybe Nkunku, into the fold against even weaker opposition? I'm going to leave you guys with that question. I'd love to know your answer in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video today, a little bit more tactical, a few more different like screens that we can analyze things and really showcase a bit more than what we talk about in the reactionary 6 things we learned video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button if you did, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Come on, you Blues.